Hey, good evening and welcome to, holy crap, my hair is terrible. What are you going to do? It's COVID, man. I tried to cut it on the sides. My wife cut my hair. She gave me a Kim Jong-un haircut. It's all right, you know. Hey, welcome to Caswell Tonight, which is kind of like an offspring of the Caswell Cook Show, which we used to do on cable TV for a lot of years. And I want to thank all the guests that we've been having on lately. We've been some really, really cool people. And I wanted to tell you, coming up tomorrow night, we do have the lead singer of the great band Tower of Power from Oakland, California. They have a new album out now. It's #1 on the jazz charts on Billboard. They've got a new video, and their leader and founder, Emilio, is going to join us tomorrow. I'm not even sure where he's going to be calling us from, but from somewhere across this great country. So really great to have Tower of Power on. And then next week on Tuesday, we have confirmed that we have three-time Grammy Award winner Peter Asher, who was in the duo Peter and Gordon back in the 60s. World Without Love was one of his big hits that Paul McCartney wrote for him. And then he went on to be the vice president of Apple Records. He discovered and produced James Taylor. He also produced Linda Ronstadt in the 70s and in the 80s. And he currently has a show on the Beatles channel on Sirius XM called From Me to You. So we're really looking forward to having that great legendary guy on next Tuesday. And then Wednesday, from a band from the 60s called The Byrds, we've got the guitar player from the band from that he joined like in 68, 69, a guy named John York. So he's cool. So we've got a lot of cool people coming up on the show. But tonight is a special show for me because I get to talk about a subject that I don't know much about, but I want to know more about. And I get to talk about it with a person I've known for years and years and years. So joining us live tonight from, I'm not even sure where she's calling from, but let's bring her on. My good friend, April Puciata. Hi, April.
Hi, Caswell. Good to see you.
So you're looking...
I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey. I was going to say Jersey. I knew you lived there. The last time I think I visited you, you lived in Manhattan. So that was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago.
And then you came up here and visited here. But so we should tell everybody, before we talk yoga, we have to walk down memory lane, because what's really crazy, I will always remember the flight back. We both did an internship in London in 1994. God help us how long ago that was. And
we
you and I
to go into the dates, you know.
Well, it was 1994. And by the way, I think you're older than me, so go do the math now. You look younger, don't worry. But I remember we were flying home on the plane, and you and I sat next to each other on the plane ride from England back to Boston. I distinctly remember that plane ride. But can you believe that it was 25 years ago last December that we came home from that?
No. just no. Just no. And know how that happens.
And it's been great that you and I... It's been great that you and I have kept in touch for the last 25 years, some years more than others. Sometimes you've come to visit this way. My mother says COVID hairstyle. Lou is here watching us. Hey, Lou. So you'll notice that the things pop up on the screen, like when people write comments. This is what I dug out. You've never seen this, but this was my final report when we were in London. We had to make a binder. So that was the MP I worked for in Parliament. And inside this thing is my like daily journal of our times in London with photos and everything.
Wow.
So I could actually tell you, and I was trying to find some kind of reference to you in here, and I didn't get to read my whole thing, but it was cool to be able to look back and see, like, on a daily basis, at least during the weekdays, I had to write a journal so I can go back to like the 15th of November, 1994. I used the computer today until my eyes popped out of my head. It was great.
Wow.
But you had to do one of these.
I don't remember that.
What did you do in the London internship? What was your internship?
I worked at the publishing company. And I worked in publishing in New York for 7 years before I started teaching.
So, Ben, are you? We have one more thing, one more memory lane thing before we go into yoga. This isn't a picture from London, but it's the only picture I could find. This is when you came to visit.
Oh my God, that's crazy!
Like 1997-ish. Look, we were like kids.
Oh my God, we were babies.
That was when you came and visited one time at our restaurant we used to have called Seafood Haven.
I remember, because I didn't eat seafood then either. I was vegetarian. I'm still vegetarian, but we would go there. Yeah.
There was no lobster for you.
No lobster for me, but everyone was so nice.
Everyone was
Oh
nice.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
Wow.
that just goes to show how long we've known each other. That goes way, way back.
No, I have to get my readers now.
Don't worry, I'll
No,
text
I'm
you
like,
that
what?
picture afterwards. You don't look a day older, April. Don't worry. So listen, let's talk about yoga since we've talked about England and 25 years of friendship and this and that. So how did you go from that? Because I remember when I would visit you in New York City, you know, I went to your office once or twice and you were doing the whole executive thing. You were doing the high power Manhattan thing. I was like, wow, you're living that kind. And then all of a sudden, like I started seeing like things changed for you. And then all of a sudden, like you're this, you know, you're more peaceful now. You're still a type A personality, but
Yeah, I don't smoke a pack of cigarettes a day anymore.
I was gonna say that you and I were like chain smoking John Player specials on the way back from England.
I will admit to actually still missing. I still miss smoking, but it, you know, I feel better. But yeah, I just ended up in a yoga class in my gym, and I thought it was really weird, but I just fell in love with it. And I went to do a teacher training, and I did the teacher training right after September 11th, and just things really, you know, shifted for me then. And literally the day after I finished my training, I took the test and everything, I got laid off. I was at Random House and I got laid off, and I decided to give this a go, and I've kind of never looked back.
That's crazy. I was trying to figure out when the transition was that you went from that to that. So that was kind of fortuitous that you actually got laid off.
Oh yeah. I would have never done it myself. I would have never, you know, just gone in and quit and tried things. So it was to me, it was a pretty big sign, you know, now or never, like give it a go. So, cause I didn't have any desire. I wasn't going to be a teacher. That wasn't why I did a training. I just wanted to learn more about it. And then I got laid off. So I said, well, I'll give it a go.
And that was back in 2001. So when did you sort of start making this, like when did you start your business and sort of make this your full-time career?
2001, 2002. I mean, I just started picking up classes. I mean, I was teaching, you know, 20 to 25 classes in privates a week in New York City. So in New York City, that was much more doable than in other places, because you didn't need a car and things were a little bit closer, you know, together. But I just kept picking up classes. I did a little freelancing for another publishing company, but it was almost automatic. I just rolled right into it. I started teaching, and I loved it. I just fell in love with it. I loved not being in an office, and I really liked working in publishing. I loved working with books. I loved working in that atmosphere. But I loved being able to kind of control my schedule and have a little more, I guess, be able to be a little more creative. And I got to meet a lot of amazing people teaching. So I really loved so many different aspects about it.
So then you progressed from there, and then I started seeing, of course, I've been on your email list for a long time now. But all of a sudden I'm like, she's doing what in Cuba? And you're like, you're going to all these cool destinations around the world. So how did your first like yoga trip outside of the New York, New Jersey area start to happen? I mean, and how do you get the people to sign up and go to those places with you?
That's actually a very good question, because people always say like, wow, that's so glamorous. That's so amazing that you get to do that. And it's a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of work. And, you know, I did Costa Rica first, was my first international retreat. I've done Portugal. Cuba was a huge deal. I was the first American to register to do a retreat there.
There's a picture of you. That's the picture I love there.
Yeah. So we actually, unfortunately, we had to postpone the retreat this year. So I don't know when we'll be able to pick that up. But it's I love to travel. I love to just meet people from different places. I feel like it's one of the best learning experiences that you can have, and to be able to practice yoga with different people in different places is really special. So um, I started doing that. Cuba was a big deal. It would have been our 5th year going back this year, and we have a really wonderful relationship with the people at the retreat center there. And they really give us an authentic experience. And yeah, it's just really unfortunate that we couldn't do it this year. If had I been 1 week earlier, we would have made it.
When you go to a retreat like that, okay, so someone like me who, has done a couple of yoga classes in my life, but I'm a novice, I have no idea. Um, I mean, would a person like me go on a retreat to Cuba, or is it people that are also teachers? Like, who's the person that goes on these trips with you that spends a week doing yoga?
I mean, I actually have a lot. I teach teachers now, so I have a lot of teachers who come with me. Cuba is is sort of a really special circumstance because so many people want to be able to go and visit it and see it. So I kind of make it all levels. When you come on a retreat with me, this isn't all retreats, but with me, I like to make it open to as many people who want to come. So now, if you have some sort of issue where like walking a lot is going to be hard for you, or those types of things, I like to make those known. But if you're a beginner at yoga, then I would just say do what you can do. Rest if you need to rest. You do the yoga that you can do. So if you need to skip a class or you're tired, that's fine. There are certain retreats that would really be like, this retreat, we're going to work on handstand every day. That's not the way I teach. That's not my thing. But there are some retreats that are like that. But the last 2 retreats that I've been doing, I try to make them as open as possible for people, but I tell them what it's going to be like. Usually the people who come with me are very type A. They get 2 weeks vacation. They want to see stuff when they go somewhere. So it's, activities balanced with the yoga and then some free time.
What do you do now that COVID happened? Like, how are you doing all your classes? How is that working for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. Because like you had said, I've been doing some stuff online actually about 1.5 years ago. I had surgery on my cervical spine. So I cut down my classes and I started doing a lot of things online and building online courses. So when this happened, I started teaching some Zoom classes online. And that's just a nice way to keep in touch with people in my community and who were coming to my classes. But it's been really special because now I have people who were taking my class in DC who come, and who were taking my class in New York who show up to my Zoom classes. So that's something that wasn't really a possibility before COVID. So that's something that's really nice that's been happening. But very much like this, I set my computer up, I set my camera up, roll out my mat. I got a screen so it looks a little bit like nicer in the apartment, and I give class here. It's funny because I actually demo a lot more. Like when I teach, I'm usually going around and like teaching to who's in front of me. I usually don't do the whole class, but I do a lot more now. So that's one thing that's different. But yeah, it's Zoom. It's just like the 9-to-5ers that do their work via Zoom, and that's how I do this.
Do you think that when this whole thing is over, that what goes on in the future with what you're doing is going to be a hybrid of both? So that you'll still be able to do this online and then go back to the people in person?
I think, I hate to say this, but I think the yoga world is going to look very, very different. And it's going to look more like this because I don't know, gyms and yoga studios and how they basically are able to stay afloat after all of this, but also how they just navigate. They usually aren't big spaces. So then how they navigate 6 feet apart and masks. And I actually do a mentoring group where I'm talking with a lot of teachers about this now, like how they can expand and how they can bring their services and their teaching to the community. Because I don't know what that's going to look like. And I've really focused the last year and a half on building my online courses. So I do so much stuff online that I feel like I was a little bit ahead of where some teachers are now. And there are so many yoga teachers right now. Like we all have to figure out a different way to navigate this, because we've got a lot of Zoom classes, right? But I don't know what's going to happen with studios. I think it is going to look very different. I think the coming together part of that is probably going to be really special, and much more special when we're able to do that. But teacher trainings now are going online. Excuse me, everything's going online. So I can't imagine after they put all of those things in place, right, that then everybody just goes, like, they just get rid of all of the online stuff and go right back to the studio. So, time will tell.
It's going to be a hybrid world, that's for sure. We were, we used to do this show. We used to tape it, like super VHS tapes, and now we just do it live with whoever we want, whenever we want. And,
you have some great guests coming on.
It's weird. Like, people are just saying yes. I mean, we've interviewed some cool people over the years with our show, but we'd always have to travel to wherever they were and, get, really work to get it. And now it's like, the people are bored. They're at home. And I'm like, come on and sing that number one hit you had from 1975. It'll make people happy. And they do. It's fun, but we don't do that every night. I mean, we can't have aging rock stars 5 nights a week. Well, we could.
No, but I think it's great. And I mean, it's as hard as, this is for everyone. I'm just grateful that we have this means of communication, because I used to not be a social media person. I was like, oh, no way. Like, I don't need that. I'm not going to be on that. I was very much a curmudgeon about it for a very long time.
Not you.
And then I got with the program. Not me. Yeah.
Weren't you the one that had like the same profile picture for like 6 years or something?
Of my cat. Yeah. The same profile
Your
picture
cat.
of my cat for 6 years. Yes, that was me. Yeah. I was not. Now it's so funny, because anything that the millennials or younger, anything that they tell me to do now, I listen up, I perk up. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Just
listen. My 9-year-old created a TikTok account for me, and so I had this interview with Tom Wopat from the Dukes of Hazzard, Luke Duke from the Dukes.
Yeah.
And we've become friends over the past couple of years because he's played down here and he's a musician. So anyway, we did this TikTok, and she set it up, and she's like, Dad, people don't do that. Like, on, they don't put clip. Well, I literally put it up, and within 24 hours, 3,500 people had watched the clip. And I'm like, oh yeah, Maddie? Now, it's nowhere near the numbers that we can see on Facebook and stuff, because I have no idea what I'm doing on TikTok. But like, I'm learning it, and it's kind of cool. And so you got to be where everybody is, or they're not going to see you. So like, with our stream, like what you've seen tonight when you came on with my producer Ben with the StreamYard application, we're able to be live on our website, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, simultaneously, simulcasting. So it makes it really cool. So I don't know, when people are watching, I don't know where they're watching it, but it's cool. And then so what we've done with some of the rock stars is like, they might have 50 or 100,000 followers, and we're like, well, we can go live on your page if you just make us an admin for the night, and they do it, and then we get more people. So I don't know. I'm just taking advantage.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I've never heard of this, but that's a great idea. I'm going to have to look into that.
The StreamYard's free, I think. Ben probably pays for an upgraded version, because they probably get... Here comes Ben. Tell us about StreamYard.
Sure. Hey, it can be free. Yeah, if it's free, you'll have this little guy.
That thing on the top there that says live StreamYard,
or at least this, powered by StreamYard up here in the top corner. But yeah, I mean, I have the executive suite deal thing, but yeah. April, I'll answer any questions you have for it after. Bye.
Thank you.
It's great. So the way I started doing this show was because of him. because I had called him and said, I've got these episodes from like 1995 that I really want to like get off of tape before they disintegrate, like in my basement. And so we started looking at stuff, and he's like, why aren't you doing this show anymore? And I'm like, I don't know. I got a life. I got a wife. I got kids, and I, can't. No, really, right? Like I can't go doing, following rock stars around anymore. And he's like, but you can do it like online from your home. You can make money off it. We started like selling sponsorships when we were doing the monthly shows. Now we're just doing it every night. So, but it's amazing what you can do. But now let's go back to yoga, because I want to know a few more things. Number one, what is like your title as far as yoga? Like, where are you on the food chain of yoga instructors? What do you go as?
The food chain of yoga.
In other words, like, there's yoga is there masters? Like, what are the levels of teaching?
I've been teaching a while. I'd really just say that I'm a yoga and meditation teacher. People have tagged me as master teachers, but that's not really important to me. Or like I used to say I was a senior Ishta yoga teacher, but then someone emailed me and thought that I taught senior citizen yoga, which was not. So I was like, well, maybe I should not say that anymore. So I just say I'm a yoga and meditation teacher. I think, people sort of tend to know what kind of experience I have. I've been I feel like I don't have to say how long I've been teaching anymore, because that just makes me sound so old.
I know you don't like dates, do you? And I see you're like, don't tell them how long ago it was.
Well, I just can't believe it's okay. I mean, it's all right. I'll tell you, it's really, I heard something one time. They were telling people that were looking for jobs not to say actually how much experience they had, because it would make them sound old. I have a lot of experience. I've been teaching almost 20 years, and I've been doing it full time. I have many certifications and trainings. I teach teachers. But I think once you start to get into that mode where like, I'm a master teacher, I'm this, that's not
pretentious.
That's not really what the yoga is about. So, yeah.
What about Reiki?
So, Reiki is a really special practice, and I started doing that when my dad got sick, and I practiced with him, all through his treatments and his cancer, up until he passed away. And so that's something you can do distance Reiki, but I usually really prefer to do it in person. I haven't done that in a while with like clients, but I do self practice, and it's really just, you can put your hands on the person or above the person, and it's just working with energy, balancing energy within your system. So there are people who do distance sessions, and I have done them, but I do prefer to do them in person. So obviously now that's not really an option, but it is a really special practice. I did that. I guess that must have been 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I did a certification and I really did it to mainly work with him, but occasionally I will work with other clients.
Yeah. I know that reflexology, for instance, really changed my life. I had like stomach issues forever, like since I like college. Maybe it was just too much Coca-Cola, cigarettes, and whatever. But
yeah,
whatever that was, it was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, I went to someone said, you need to do this. And she did Reiki and reflexology together. And it just totally fixed everything. I don't know how. It makes sense. Like I can't explain, like, I don't know if you can explain yoga, but people that do it say, oh my God, it works. Whatever that is, it works. I don't know how it works. Do you know how it works?
So a lot of people come to yoga and they start with the physical practice, and that makes sense because it's the most tangible and we can move. But it's so funny. Yes, people say there's something different about this practice, and that's why I went to do a teacher training, because I couldn't explain why I was feeling this way after yoga. And it's because you're not just working with your physical body, you're aligning your subtle body. So if you've heard, a lot of people have heard about the chakra system or nadis at this point, they're similar to meridians. When you're doing a yoga class, you're also working on aligning and balancing your subtle body. And when you bring that into a certain space, when you align that in a certain way and you tap in, to that space that's never changing, right? That's the amazing thing about yoga. Everything's changing. Everything's changing all the time, right? But there's that one part of you that doesn't change. And whether you kind of realize it or not, I think for people in yoga, even if they catch like that little bit of a glimpse of it, just for a second, that's what I think keeps people coming back to the yoga practice. So I don't know if that makes sense to you in the way I explained it. But there's something going on deeper, and really what you're doing is you're touching spirit.
That makes sense. Well, how can people find you and do stuff online with you? I mean, where do they go? I know Ben's got some links and stuff, and you're doing it a lot during the week. So tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook, April Puciata Yoga. I'm on Instagram, April Yoga _Beyond Om. My website is aprilyoga.com. I'm kind of, I'm just about everywhere. aprilyoga.com is my website. I'm doing Zoom classes during the week, and I have a free meditation series. So I really love to teach meditation, and it was not something that was an easy practice for me, and it's not easy for a lot of people to start. So if you want to just kind of get to know me a little better or start a meditation practice and you're struggling with that, it's kind of just a free little course, a little series to start meditating. I think Ben's going to put that up. Yeah, and if you have any questions to me for me about the practice, about meditation, you can, reach out to me, Instagram, Facebook, website, any way you want to get
so
there.
I remember doing one of your meditations that you emailed to people. Well, there's a video of you. Oh, so he's showing us your website and stuff. That's there's April as she's doing her classes.
Yeah.
Similar backdrop there.
It's the same.
I know. I'm joking.
I have one.
So, and your meditation helped me, and I'll tell you, I have I have struggled over the years on and off with panic attacks, and of course the thing that the doctor gives you is, Xanax. But my doctor's like, I think you need, to figure this out and realize that when you have a panic attack, you're not dying necessarily or having a heart attack. How many people come to you with things like that and say, how can your meditation help? And of course they want quick answers. They want the 1 minute meditation. And I know you try to provide that, but tell me about your experience with people like me that are subject to panic attacks and things like that.
So the thing about meditating is, like I said, I struggled with it for a really long time. And the way that I like to start with people who maybe have a similar situation to you or don't like to sit or have anxiety is I just start them on their back with their feet on the floor and the knees up. And I just have them do some breath work, just some noticing the breath, some lengthening the breath, different breathing exercises. So it might not technically seem like a yoga, sitting here meditation, but it starts to slow you down a bit. So when you can manipulate your breathing, you can also manipulate, other things going on in your body, right? When you can slow your breathing down, your heart rate will slow down, your blood pressure will drop. if you're someone who's prone to panic or anxiety, panic attacks or anxiety, that will go into the other side of your system and help soothe your nervous system down. It doesn't happen. It's like if you did downward facing dog once a year, it's not going to feel better. You know, it's like if you tried a handstand once a year, you're not going to automatically spring up into it, right? It's a daily consistent practice. And so I just like to tell people, if you start, my teacher has a funny joke because he'll say like 3 to 5 minutes, start with 3 to 5 minutes a day. And he'll say, if you can't sit with yourself for 5 minutes, what must it be like for other people to sit with you? Right? So it's funny and it's well-intentioned and it's good humor, but it's very true, right? So I will really start with people really basic, really simple. We're not going to get right away into nadis and chakras and alternate nostril breathing, Vastrika breath, and you know that I kind of will build up to with someone who might have a hard time like settling in. They might feel better, safer on their back at first before they're even seated.
I like it. Now, what is breathing out of alternate sides of your nostrils?
Alternate.
What is that?
Thing.
What is that? Come on, I've
So
never heard of that.
You take your hand like this. You take your thumb on your right nostril and your ring finger on your left, and you breathe through one side. Then you close and block both, and then you breathe through the other side.
All right, so it's not as difficult.
Wait, let me tell you what it does. You're gonna love this.
Okay.
You have one nostril that's dominant.
Okay.
You have one nostril that's dominant for about, I think it's like 128 or 129 minutes, and then it switches to the other side. So you're not breathing evenly through both sides of your nose all day. But if you've ever caught yourself in a daydream, like staring out the window, you're breathing equally through both sides of your nose. So this technique is used to manipulate the flow of breath through your nose so that you come into that kind of more daydreamy, relaxed state.
Wow. All right. See, April, you're
Like,
teaching
wow,
me stuff.
I'm not going to do it, but that's
No, like I'm really intrigued by these things. Like, no, I want to. Like, I started doing yoga a little bit like 20 years ago, and I always enjoyed when I went. And of course, I did my own pace because I can't stand on my head or do those things, and I'm kind of a big lug, so it's harder for me. But you know, I'm looking at these people next to me that are wearing these little, you know, outfits, and I'm sitting there going, Jesus, that ain't me, man. But you know,
to take classes like that 2-3 times a day. I don't do that anymore. Yoga is something where just do a Google search and you'll find a more gentle class. They have like, you know, what do they call it? Like bro yoga now. Like they have everything. There's all
bro yoga.
Yeah, they have all of these different types of classes, and so there's something out there that will suit your needs. And find a teacher that you like, that resonates with you. And if you don't like a teacher, there's a lot of us out there. Find a different one. But there are so many different kinds of practices. The ancient texts never said that you needed to jump around like for 90 minutes and, you know, do a headstand and do fancy poses. That's not what it's about.
Well, well, first of all, nowadays you can find anyone you want because you don't have to have the yoga instructor in your own town or the yoga instructors. Tell me one more thing. I know we've kept you for like a half hour now talking about yoga. And by the way, Ben said you should do your own show like this, you know, at least once a week. So talk to Ben. He'll produce your show from Rhode Island. But you should because you're teaching me stuff. Tell me about hot yoga. What's that all about?
So Bikram yoga is this set sequence. I think they call it something different now because there was some controversy. I mean, it was more than controversy. He, well, we'll just skip over that part. So Bikram yoga was a sequence where you would do every pose a certain amount of times, and it was in a room of 108 degrees. And, people really liked this idea of sweating a lot. And there were a lot of people who claimed it really, healed them in certain ways. So vinyasa, like a more flowy style, started to do hot classes as well. If you like warm, hot yoga might be a good thing for you. It is definitely not for everyone. And there are a lot of people who feel you should be able to develop the heats on your own in the practice. You shouldn't need the temperature to be cranked up, which I understand. I also get I like to be warm. It feels good to me, but I also know there are some people who are just, it is not for them, not for them. So, you want to know when you're going into a class, what type of class it is. And I think anything that gets people to try yoga, I'm great. It might not be the practice for you. And a lot of people move from hot yoga to a non-hot, a regular sort of class. So you just have to, if you don't like the heat, don't go there. Or if you're someone who tends to build heat really quickly and you start to sweat really easily, it might not be the class for you. But there are some people who really enjoy it.
So in closing here, because you've given us lots of time and told us a lot of stuff, is there any kind of a technique that the average Joe can do during the day that helps with stress? Can you give us one freebie of something we could do?
Yeah. Do you want to do it with me?
I
Should we
do.
do it together? Okay. So just simple breathing. And you, again, now, you might not be able to do this. Well, I don't know who's going to the office anymore. I was going to say, if you're in your office, you might not be able to lie on the floor, but you can always do this technique lying on the floor with your feet on the floor and the knees up. Okay. Otherwise, just for right now, we'll just do it seated. Okay. So just close your eyes. And if you don't like to close your eyes, just focus on a point on the floor in front of you. And I just want you to start to bring some attention to your inhale and to your exhale. And you might even just say, I'm inhaling now, I'm exhaling now. And just notice when that happens in your body. And then start to count your inhales. So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. And then count your exhale. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Whatever the count is, you don't have to make it anything it's not. And then start to maybe just lengthen both sides of the breath a little bit. So when you get to what you think is the top of the inhale, can you just take in a little bit more? And when you get to the bottom of the exhale, can you just breathe out a little bit more? And just repeat. Go to top of the inhale, take in a little more. And go to the bottom of the exhale and breathe out a little bit more. So after that next exhalation, and just drop the chin into the chest, blink the eyes open if they're closed, and then just let your head lift and take in the rest of the room. It's just really simple.
But it works. It's so weird that if you just spent a few minutes of the day focusing on yourself, we would probably all have a lot less stress in our lives.
Yeah, I know it's hard. Put the phone down, sit or lie down, and just notice your inhale and your exhale and just watch what happens. So that's a nice, it's just an easy way to start. Just a simple way to start. Your your breath is your most powerful tool, really.
Well, thank you very much. Now I'm all calm.
You're all calm.
I
Oh,
am.
shit.
Yeah, I'm all calm. Thank you for doing that. So thank you for being with us tonight, April. It's good to see you. You know, at least the COVID thing has actually gotten us to have a conversation face to face instead of a quick email once every 6 months.
No, yeah, I've connected with a lot of people. So thank you for having me. I know that, I mean, you have some like really cool people coming on. So I'm like,
you are a really cool people, so don't worry about it. And you've been someone
you.
that I've thought about for many, many years, and you've always been near and dear to my heart. And I've said wonderful things about you to my wife, and I hope someday that we can figure out how to visit, and you can meet my kids, and I can meet your husband, and you can meet my wife. It'd be
I would
cool.
love that.
So we're gonna make that happen after COVID goes away.
Yeah, or we'll do a Zoom party.
That's right. We can do that too. All right, April. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was my friend April. A lot of good memories with her. She's an awesome person. That known her for 25 years. I can't believe it. It's just weird. The older we get, but she doesn't look any older. You know what the heck? If you live a good life, you age well. I have to start doing these things, but I love meditation and I love yoga. I just never can get myself to start it, but maybe that's a good way to start. And so I suggest you go to April's website, check out what she offers, and beyondom.com. So go for it. Go see that. All right. So tomorrow night, got to wake myself up now. Tomorrow night, we're going to have the leader of Tower of Power, Emilio, and he is going to be here, and it's going to be amazing to talk about the great legacy that Tower of Power has across this world. I'm going to ask him about my favorite song, "Don't Change Horses in the Middle of the Stream," and we're going to actually play you their new video, which is awesome, and their new album is like in the top 10 of the charts on Billboard, so it's really cool. So to have the leader of this band on our show tomorrow night is definitely a privilege for us. Tower of Power tomorrow night right here on Caswell Tonight. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank my dear friend April. I want to thank you all for joining us. Good night, everybody. Good night, Mom. See you tomorrow, 8 o'clock.